Alright, what is up everybody? So, first video back in action, so I'm all recovered. Don't look too closely at the finger, it's still, well, it doesn't have stitches in it, so that's a plus. I'm not going to be doing any investigation. I'm going to take it a little easier, and I'm going to actually cover some Rhode Island history a little bit. And I'm here in Newport, Rhode Island, so first time in Newport actually. This has been pretty cool. I like Newport. Newport's pretty cool. Check it out, guys. But we are actually, and I say we because I'm here with Dylan. What's up, brother?
What's going on, guys? What's up, everyone?
We are actually going to a little event that I had intended to do this a little bit more properly. So big thank you to the Newport Historical Society for sort of like last minute letting me go through with this. You guys are amazing. Definitely, guys, check out their stuff if you come by. I mean, this event called the French in Newport, really great. And it covers sort of, you know, during the Revolutionary War when the French had come and first, you know, shown up in what would become the United States, you know, the 13 colonies. And, you know, where they came was here in Newport. And unfortunately, like I said, kind of really impromptu, very quick. Didn't have a whole lot of time. We showed up very late. Again, just because of everything, the rabies treatment and the laceration and everything like that, everything that I was dealing with kind of had to take precedence, so this kind of just crept up on me faster than I had anticipated, and so the Newport Historic Society was really goated. I was able to actually interview one of the historic actors, I believe it's living history actors, correct term? Correct me if I'm wrong in a comment, feel free. But he was really knowledgeable on a lot of things, and as you're going to see, and much like Fort William Henry, you know, puts it all into a lot better words than I can. I'm a big fan of history, but I'm not as smart as these guys. So, shout out to all of you. This is the French in Newport.
My name is Matt Dallaire, and I'm an amateur historian and a volunteer with the Newport Historical Society. I'm not portraying a specific person today. I'm portraying a captain from the Royal DuPont Regiment that came here with the French Army in July of 1780. So I am actually not, so the person I'm portraying would have actually not been French or French speaking. They would have been someone who was recruited by the King of France from the Duke of Zweibrücken, from the area of Zweibrücken, Germany, what's now Germany. And this is an area of Germany in the west, near the French border, just south of Luxembourg, if you wanted to look it up today. Zweibrücken means two bridges, because the area had two bridges, and that's how it got its name. So when these men were recruited by the Duke for the Duke of Zweibrücken, for the French king to join the French army, that was translated to DuPont, which means two bridges in French. So I am wearing these colors to distinguish me and my regiment as part of the French army, but not French speaking, as people from a certain area that was recruited to make up the French army.
Would they have been considered mercenaries at the time?
This you could have called, yep, you absolutely can call this type of person a mercenary. I'm being paid for my participation. I wasn't drafted. I was recruited. I'm taking a salary, and then the Duke of Zweibrücken would have received a payment as well for all the men I sent over. But I am absolutely being paid for this, so you could call me a paid mercenary on behalf of the French. Just like the English had mercenaries that were fighting on their behalf as well from what's now Germany. I keep saying what's now Germany. Germany isn't politically unified until the 1870s. So the Hessians come from Hesse. The DuPont regiment comes from Zweibrücken. So Germany at this time is a collection of different duchies, dukedoms, kingdoms, principalities, all kind of with what's now considered Italy, all considered the Holy Roman Empire, the HRE. So you'll hear it referred to as a lot of different things. But the French government specifically chose my regiment because we're German-speaking. There are already a lot of German-speaking people in what's now America on the continent. So it was very strategic that my group was sent over because they thought we would be seen familiar, much more familiar than the French, to the American colonists once we arrived here. The French arrived in July of 1780. They're here. They arrived between July 11th and July 12th officially. They land at what's now called Kings Park in Newport, and then they stay here through the winter, and they leave in June of 1781, and they start the march to Yorktown.
About what would the campaign have looked like? Yorktown to, was it just straight to Yorktown, or was there a series of targets?
So this is there's a great journal that's kept by a man named George Daniel Floor. He's a part of this regiment. He's not an officer. He's a common member of the infantry, and he keeps a fabulous journal detailing day-to-day life. And he's writing down a tremendous amount of details because everything's new to him. Whereas the American soldiers who keep journals at this time, everything's very familiar to them because they're from this area. So they're not writing down things that they find as curious as what the French and the Germans find when they come here. So I would recommend for anyone who wants to know about the day-to-day life, what the march was like, even little details about the food they're eating, how they're perceived by different townspeople when they arrive at the different towns, seek out the journal of George Daniel Floor. Floor is spelled F-L-O-H-R. Basically, the French army arrives here in July. A lot of them are very ill from malnutrition from the naval journey across the sea, 71 days at sea. So they're here through the winter, kind of recuperating, building back up their strength. The French officers are stationed in the city. The French troops themselves are living in the southern part of the city in encampments, and everyone on the Navy stays on the warships. So there would have been 43 warships in the harbor. It's just the number of French that are coming in are more than 3 times the population that's left in Newport after the British occupation of 1776 to 1779. So there would have been basically a tripling of the population just by this Allied force arriving. So the day-to-day life in Newport was very pleasant after the citizens here warmed up to the presence of the French. They weren't received with open arms and a very warm welcome at first. There's a lot of hesitation on behalf of the American colonists. They knew very little about the French and their culture. What they did know was largely negative. A propaganda machine has been going on between France and England for centuries leading up to this period. So they just didn't physically know what to expect, what the French would look like, how they would act. But once the French officers sort of stationed themselves in the city, they launched basically what we would call a public relations campaign to introduce themselves to the citizens here, to ingratiate themselves with them, which they do. But the march from here, the army leaves, they march up the island, they go into Providence, and then are met up with forces that come down from Boston, and then they start the march down to Yorktown. We call this Rochambeau's route. So the Rochambeau's revolutionary route, what's called the W3R as an acronym. The entire route is actually overseen by the National Park Service. Obama signed the law into effect during his administration that put federal money aside to maintain the path and a lot of the historic sites along it. So if you just Google W3R or the Rochambeau route, you can learn about all the exact towns that were along the way. A lot of the sites, a lot of the houses that the British station or the French station themselves in have been preserved. So there's lots of physical things you can go see. Even though a lot of that route now has been developed. A lot of those routes went through New York, Philadelphia. They've become cities, so they haven't preserved the cobblestone paths they walked along, but a lot of the structures along the path has been preserved. You can visit those. But again, to learn more about the day-to-day life of these soldiers, definitely seek out the journal of George Daniel Floor. He goes into an incredible amount of detail, and he actually draws a lot of pictures of the buildings and the landmarks that he sees along his way in his journal as well.
You had mentioned Rochambeau. Who exactly was Rochambeau? I'm familiar with Lafayette, not so much with Rochambeau.
So General Rochambeau is the head of the French forces when he comes over. So Rochambeau would have been stationed here in Newport and then would have traveled to meet with Washington in Hartford at one point. Rochambeau receives General Washington here in Newport for a visit while the French are stationed here. They host a ball in the Colony House just behind me. So Rochambeau is someone who has decades of military experience with the French army before the French commit themselves to be our allies. So he's coming here to oversee the French troops, but he's also helping a lot to professionalize the Continental Army under Washington.
I can't remember. So he's kind of acting as a similar role to, I can't remember the Frenchman's man's name who was at Valley Forge.
I believe you might be thinking of Rochambeau. Oh, no. Valley Forge was that you're gonna have to ask. Rochambeau himself is here. So
Yes.
there's someone portraying Rochambeau. He can go into much more detail and accurate detail. I don't want to say anything that's inaccurate.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'll probably go look for him then, see if I can get him.
He's wearing a navy blue suit with gold trim.
Gotcha. And that would have been more like fitting with like
The highest ranking officers.
Gotcha.
There's all sorts of detail, like my epaulet here has fringe, but not on this side. That denotes that I'm a captain. So there's a whole coded language in the uniforms that help people recognize each other on the battlefield.
Okay.
But also help a lot of illiterate people understand the different ranks. People can't physically read words, but they can read the language my outfit is speaking to understand who I am and how I fit into my regiment.
Right. Definitely heavy more on like the symbolism rather
Exactly.
than.
That's very well said.
Gotcha. Interesting. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that bit of history. I'm hoping next year to do this a little bit more properly. Definitely want to try and work something out with the Newport Historical Society. I'm also going to try and turn away from the wind so it's not blowing in your ears, kind of like the last time I did a historic video on close to the water. But yeah, I'd love to actually do this a little bit more properly. This has honestly been a really great taste for Newport, like first taste of Newport. I know that there's some spots that have been recommended to me here to actually investigate for the paranormal, so I'll definitely be coming back. I hope you guys really like it down here, because I'm definitely coming back to film. I'll definitely be coming back down here to film, definitely more investigations. Again, I know this is mostly a paranormal channel with a little bit of history, but I do want to start spreading my roots a little bit more into the history because I'm kind of a nerd. But like I said, everyone that I tend to meet that's involved in history is a little bit smarter and better spoken about it than I am, so I'd like to go and film and interview them and just sort of hey, I'm the pretty face. But short video, easygoing video, again, just kind of dipping my toe back into things while also sort of expanding the horizon. But I have rambled at you guys long enough. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment. We are back to filming and I am damn happy that I am. This feels great. And Dylan, thank you so much for coming out here. Definitely wouldn't have been able to come out and do this without you.
Of course, anytime.
Sorry if I blinded you guys with the sun, but anyway, thank you again for watching. Like, favorite, share, subscribe, and hit the bell notification because that is the thing, and it'll let you know when I post. So, have a good one, guys. Love you. Also, just wanted to cover this right before I put the camera away and kind of just, enjoyed Newport a little bit. But just in case I didn't say it, big shout out to Matt for the interview. Thank you so much. It was great meeting you, brother. And also, please go and check out anything that the Newport Historical Society puts out. A lot of big brain stuff, a lot of history, a lot of good stuff there. And honestly, this event, it was really cool. I only got to taste the very tail end of it, unfortunately, but I'm hoping next year, again, a little bit more, not just, to experience myself, but also to share with you guys.